Caffeine Coils, and I'm Deanna.
And I'm Jenny.
And we have a special guest today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, my name's Dale Jackson, co-owner of Jackson Services in LaGrange, Georgia.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us for today.
I'm excited to be here and talk about SNASY, which is technically not Jackson Services, but it is something that Mingledorf has played a historical role in getting started at Auburn University.
So, can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the nonprofit and your mission with SNASY?
So, a little bit of clarification points. For starters, it is not a nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
It actually is a for-profit. And I specifically designed it that way because as a special needs dad and also as a business owner, what I have tried to do is establish a way for businesses, specifically heating and air companies, to benefit financially from serving special needs families. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, that makes
is
sense.
A good thing. Because if, quite frankly, I participate in a lot of fundraisers for nonprofits. And I think that's what we should do as business owners in the community that we serve, is we should give back and just simply be good corporate sponsors and corporate citizens. And so with that, I sponsor a lot of our Chamber of Commerce events and the women's shelter events and so forth in our local hometown. But what I also understand that if you can help a certain number of people out of the goodness of your own heart, then that's great. But if you can show a business how they can actually turn a profit by serving special needs families, well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to serve more special needs families.
Yeah, it's a
and
win-win.
As a special needs family, that's what I want. I want more businesses involved.
Yeah.
So how did your organization kind of get started? Like, what gave you the idea to say this would be a good way to basically serve both the business owner and the special needs family?
Absolutely. And that's what I'm excited to kind of tell my story as a dad, and that leads to the bigger story of what the heating and air side in Mingledorf has played a role. And so my story starts back in high school. And when all through my life, I attended every single imaginable school you could think of. Homeschool, private school, Christian school, and finally ended up in high school in a public high school. And I was a lot different than maybe I am now. I was a little bit shyer. I was about 5'2" and probably weighed the same exact as I do now at 6'2". And so I was really shy. The only person I really knew in my high school, because I had not attended public school, was my best friend's mom. And she was a parapro in the special ed department.
Okay.
And every spare moment I had, I hung out in the special ed class, the standalone class. And I volunteered for every Special Olympics, for every field trip that they went on, and literally spent most of my high school career in her class. And I got to see firsthand the difficulty of dealing with special needs families. I got to see how difficult it was for families to go to those field day events and to those field trips. And my senior year in class, I was watching my best friend's mom deal with a very hard situation. And in watching that, I was thinking, like, why in the world is she doing this? Because I knew her husband and their whole family, and they had their own private business. And she was really just doing it for insurance and because she wanted to give back to that community. She was passionate about that. And it was in that moment in time that I felt like the Lord shared with me that I was going to have a special needs child. And that he had been preparing me to kind of understand what that was going to look like. For the previous 4 years, this was my senior year. And I never forgot that. That was always constantly in the back of my head. Obviously, fast forward to getting married, and I had a daughter, and then when my son was born, and the whole time I was constantly thinking about that. And so I was able to kind of spot things in him prior to others, because I don't know, I just kind of could see it coming.
Right.
And but the main thing that was being shown to me, when you have a severely special needs child or just loved one, it could be a husband who breaks his neck and is a paraplegic for the rest of his life, whatever the case may be, society tells you that you're not welcome. You're not welcome at events. You're not welcome at restaurants. You're not welcome at normal, everyday society. And that's hard. That's hard to process. And that's hard for if you don't have a loved one who deals with a lot of special needs. And when I say special needs, that could be a variety of things. And for me, when you outgrow that 30-inch Chick-fil-A changing table.
Yeah.
So potentially, I'm not sure if y'all are moms or not, but if you are a mom, you understand.
And I can tell you that there's no mom. I am a mom myself, and there's no mom in this world that enjoys having your child have to lay on the floor. If there is no change, if there was no changing table available, or in your case, there wasn't one large enough, right, it's just not something that you feel confident about. I mean, it's just gross, and it's unsanitary, and that is something that I feel like, as a mom who doesn't have a special needs child, that's something that I would have never thought that you'd have to go through. So I can understand.
Yeah, and you can kind of make do. I mean, you can go to the back seat of your car,
right? Yeah.
Up to a certain age.
Yeah, but then it gets to where it's not private anymore.
When you get into that 7, 8, 9, 10, you start hitting puberty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just not feasible to take your kid to the backseat of the car or lay them down on the grass in front of thousands of individuals. And for me, that was the moment for me. And it was in 2017. It was the very first year we had the opportunity to sponsor the fireworks for our hometown in LaGrange, which is where my headquarters are. So I think it was like our 45th year anniversary as well. And so I was trying to plan for cater the whole event and bring our staff out there and invite their families. We were doing the fireworks for the whole entire county, July the 4th. And we rented a 100-foot tent. And I'm like, well, heck, we're a heating and air company. I don't want my staff to come out here the next day and have to suffer through 97-degree heat. And so we're going to figure out a way to air condition this tent. And so we did. And we spent all day July 3rd figuring out a way. We brought generators and rooftop units that, we had brought in we had probably even, replaced a couple of them. And I never will forget that moment. I was there that night. And I was imagining that we had prepared for catering and for 250 of our employees and our families to come and enjoy the day. And the next day, this was a big, huge open field. There were going to be 6,000 people. All of Troup County was going to show up to watch the fireworks. And it dawned on me. And at this time, my son was 8 years old. And I looked across the field and I saw all the porta-johns lined up. I saw the tent that we had that my staff was going to be able to eat dinner and lunch in. And it dawned on me that the only people not invited the next day was my own family.
Mm-hmm.
My own son I couldn't change his diaper anywhere. And when you're dealing with an 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 25, 40-year-old human being, chances are they're going to poop their pants at some point in the day. And that's when it occurred to me that, well, I've already air conditioned this tent. What if I put another tent inside of this tent with a privacy wall in it and put a cot in it so I could simply take my son in there and lay him down on that cot and change his diaper? And I thought, wow, now my son can attend this event. Now I can attend this event. Now my 6 family members can attend this event. How many other special needs families are not going to show up tomorrow because this service isn't available? Because no one has helped that mother be able to visualize what is it going to look like for you to attend this event. And when your special needs child has one of 27 emergencies that could come up, that will come up tomorrow at some point, where are you going to take care of them at? And that's when it kind of dawned on me that not only is this a service, but this is a for-profit service. Because guess what? As someone who likes to participate in community events, just because I have a special needs child doesn't mean that I also haven't lost a mother to cancer. And I want to show up to that breast cancer awareness event and raise money on behalf of my mom. Now, thankfully, I haven't lost my mom. She's still alive. But what if I also wanted to raise money for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, because maybe my dad battled that? Just because I have a special needs child doesn't mean I don't need to also participate in those events. And if I'm that organization, well, guess what? I want people to be able to show up at my event to walk and to raise money. And so we want to try to provide an opportunity for special needs families to participate in society. And so from 2017 until 2022, I proceeded to kind of coordinate. I did not do it. I want to make that very clear. My staff, which are amazing, we proceeded to set up an air-conditioned tent at over 600 events from 2017 until 2022 and allow special needs families to attend those events. And it was in the spring of 2022, I believe, when I reached out to Coach Bruce Pearl, who's the head basketball coach at Auburn. And we had recently done the heating and air work in his house, completely renovated it. And really in an act of desperation, and I even told him, I said, Coach, I don't even know if this is proper, and I probably shouldn't even be asking you this. But I've been trying to get my tent on campus at Auburn for 3 years. And I just couldn't get through the red tape. Because anything you do at Auburn University, it's a big, huge institution. I don't blame them one bit. You know, there are organizations that manage every square inch of grass at Jordan-Hare, you know, around the campus on game day. And so I didn't really blame them, but I was just trying to communicate to them that I need that tent to be there so that I could get to go to a game again with my son. And this is kind of the crux of our program at Auburn. Because for me, being a dad, like when I think of that mental picture of being a dad, that's tailgating with my son outside the stadium, throwing the football on the grass, you know, from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock before the 3 o'clock kickoff, you know. And I know y'all personally don't know me, but to give you an idea of the psychology of special needs parents, I want to kind of walk you through a 10-year process. So prior to my son being born, I was a complete idiot. Like when it comes to college football, like I was a psychopath. Like I literally had a 10-foot flag strapped to the back of my truck, driving like around campus every Saturday morning prior to the football game, acting like a crazy maniac. My season tickets were row 1 in the end zone. I literally could bend over and like touch the grass with my hand. The players literally jumped into the stands right into my seats. Like, that was me as a fan. I had the orange wig. I was a psychopath. And then my son was born. And the ironic part is this is the part that I'm a little bit embarrassed to say. Because for the next 8 years after my son was born, I convinced myself that I wasn't even an Auburn fan. That I didn't even want to go to the game. Because I knew I'd never be able to do it like I really wanted to, like I envisioned it being done. Because I couldn't take my son. Where do you take a 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 16-year-old, 22-year-old wearing a diaper? And when he can't understand you telling him, hey, sit here, hey, don't touch that. Like you mentioned, laying your child down on the floor. Now imagine that being a 16-year-old and you not being able to tell them, don't touch that toilet. Don't touch that wall. Don't, am I supposed to take him to the porta-john and lay him down when he has a poopy diaper? Like, how do you change a poopy diaper standing up? Because right now, that's my only option in society is if I want to enter into society, I have to risk my son pooping his pants and then going into a bathroom and trying to change a poopy diaper with a 16-year-old while standing up. Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
How difficult that is?
No.
And I'm also thinking now that you've brought this solution, how many families are grateful, and I wonder what's the response been from other families.
And that is the power of SNASY. And so we're probably like way too deep in the conversation that I should have explained. What in the world is SNASY? Sorry. So SNASY is an acronym, and it stands for Special Needs Assistance Station for You. And what I'm trying to, even in the name, in the process, we're trying to show and explain that special needs families, in order for us to do anything, doesn't matter what it is, going to church, going to a restaurant, grocery shopping, a football game, doesn't matter. We have to be able to visualize every step of this process. From the second we decide to go to wherever we want to go, where are we going to park? How are we going to get from the parking space to the event? And when one of these 27 things happen that could be a catastrophe, how are we going to handle them? And then how are we going to have to backtrack? And are we going to have to go back home and deal with them? Can we deal with them there? And that's why it's hard for us to go out into society, because we know more than likely one of those 27 things are going to happen, and we're going to have to pack everything back up, and we're going to have to go back home. But you mentioned the reaction. And that's the power of SNASY, and that's the power of what Mingledorf is doing with Carrier at Auburn. And that is the appreciation. Because every single human being in my life understands what it's like for me to go out and participate with my son. And if we can help that family go do that, not only have you changed their life, but they're going to make sure every single person in their entire family knows who provided that opportunity to them, who gave them that moment of peace in going out and doing that whatever event in society.
I think there's something to be said too, kind of circling back to where you said you were embarrassed to say that, you try to convince yourself that you didn't want to go to the game or you didn't want to be a fan anymore. I mean, I think a lot of people that would be life-changing for them because it brings some sort of normalcy back to their life, whereas it probably is somewhat of a struggle to do the things that you normally would love and have your family members participate with you.
Yeah. And most people don't understand what I'm about to say. And one of the most terrifying things for a typical mom, and I say mom, and I'm not proud of that. And what I mean by that is that, unfortunately, there's an 80+% divorce rate with special needs kids because it's hard. And unfortunately, most of the time, that burden falls on the mom. And so what typically happens in our industry, heating and air companies, because we want to help and we don't understand most of the time. And so what happens is somebody like me, a boss, an owner of the company, gives a mom 4 tickets to the Auburn, Georgia game because they know that her 10-year-old son is a huge Auburn fan. He wants to go to the game. And he's got a 16-year-old older brother with special needs, and he doesn't get to do a lot of stuff. Well, I'm trying to help out that mom. And what we don't understand is you just scared the ever-loving crap out of that mother. Because now she's expected to actually go to that game.
Right.
She doesn't have a clue how to go to that game, and she is scared to death. But yet you just told her, hey, I want you to come and enjoy a day out, and you're right beside me, and I expect you to show up.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have a clue. And so that's what we are doing at Auburn, is we're giving that mother an opportunity to register to go to that game. And then I'm telling you, what we're doing beyond that is absolutely amazing, because that mother has now the opportunity to be assigned a very specific parking spot. And when she shows up at that parking spot at 11:30 for a 3:30 kickoff, I want to describe to you what Mingledorf is providing her. It's obviously a little bit emotional because what I'm describing to you is my family. But they're going to get directed to a very specific parking spot in a very specific parking lot. And Holly Livingston, who is a 21-year-old nursing student, is going to meet that family at that spot at 11:30 in the morning. And they're going to ride a ADA certified shuttle, and they're going to get dropped off at the SNASY Mingledorf air-conditioned tent. And they're going to have free food and free drinks and free air conditioning, thanks to Carrier ductless units. And they're going to have to be able to watch the game, all the pregame shows. And they're going to get to tailgate in that 40-foot air-conditioned tent. And we have a little privacy tent set up over there, so in case there's any emergencies that come up. And we also have a PS5 entertainment section for all the siblings to play video games while they tailgate. And then we have a golf cart service that is going to take that family from our tent to either the east side gate or the west side gates of the stadium. And then we have a series of 8 different stations inside that stadium that nursing student is going to go into the stadium with that family. And they're going to take that mother and those 1 or 2 children, whoever their family is, they're going to show them the East Alabama Medical Center first aid station that has a whole entire section designated just for special needs families. We've also partnered with the Tiger Babies nursing mother stations throughout the stadium, so that we're going to partnering with them in the future, so that not only are their stations prepared for nursing mothers, but they're also going to be prepared for SNASY families that might need assistance while at the game. And then as that family gets to enjoy the entire day, enjoying the game, that host, that nursing student is going to be with them, so that, because this is where a lot of people kind of miss the points in the middle. If you have a 16-year-old son or a 30-year-old son, how do you go grab a hot dog and a Coke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son doesn't understand waiting in line.
Mm-hmm.
How does my wife take my son, and how does she go to the bathroom? And so if that host, that nursing student, could simply just have a text message between my wife and them and say, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go grab a Coke and a hamburger. Can you come and sit down with my son? You've been with us all day.
Yeah.
You know about my son.
Yeah.
Can you just sit down here beside him? And because she's just been standing back in the aisle the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's enjoying her day too. But now we're actually empowering her to serve 2 or 3 families throughout the day while she's in the stadium volunteering. And this is a vital point in what we're providing through Mingledorf and Carrier. It's great. And I'm trying not to forget these 2 points, because these are the 2 most important points. It is great as a complete college football nut. It is great to be able to take my family to a college football game. But to be able to take my family, or for someone else to be able to take their family to a college football game and have a certain level of peace about them, to be able to actually enjoy the day and not be completely on edge and stressed out, because that's the world I live in. Every single moment of the day could turn into a catastrophe with my son. And again, going back to your comment on gratitude and appreciation, if we as an industry can provide an opportunity for families to get to go to a football game, that's great. If we can provide an opportunity for that family to attend a football game and experience a new level of peace, that's a whole new level of appreciation. And here's the second point, and this is the most important point. And this is what I'm very grateful for Mingledorf for understanding this point. Because what we're doing at Auburn is going to be exponentially impactful at Auburn. But that is not the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 3-year pilot program that we are building out at Auburn. But that's not the finish line. The finish line, and where you truly change society and when you truly change lives, is when you can take that experience of me getting to take my son to an Auburn, Georgia game at Jordan-Hare Stadium on October the 7th. Well, that's great, and I really do appreciate that. But even I don't want to take my son to every single game at Jordan-Hare Stadium. I want to take him to maybe 1 or 2 games a year, and I want to feel somewhat normal as a dad in doing that. But you know what I really need to do every single week of my life? Is I need to go to a restaurant and eat dinner on Tuesday night. And that is the incredible thing that we're building at Auburn. Because if we can build a 17-step process that enables me to go to a game with my son and change his diaper or deal with his feeding tube or deal with 117 other things that may happen, if we can design a system to do that, you know what we also can do? Is we can relay that same technology, that same infrastructure that enables me to go eat dinner at 7 o'clock in my hometown and schedule a parking spot and schedule a golf cart service to come pick me up. Guess what? Not when my reservation is ready, but when my table is ready, when my drinks are on the table, when my son's meal that, guess what? I have to feed my son every single meal he eats. I would much rather his food already be sitting on the table when we stroll into that restaurant, because guess what? I want to get in and out of that restaurant in about 37 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually developing a system to show restaurant owners how they can work with special needs families to get us in and out, increase their business, increase the level of service they're providing to special needs families, enable them, empower them to get out and shop and go participate in society in our own hometowns. And that's what's most important about what we're doing at Auburn, because we're going to take this to every single SEC school in the country. And then we're going to take it to every single community around that SEC school. And that's what is most important about what we're doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was actually, one of my questions was going to be going to other schools, but I mean, you're going even beyond that, which is incredible for special needs families.
Mingledorf has played an amazing role in basically setting up the very first initial sponsorship. It's giving us the publicity. But moving forward, and this is what I want your readers to hear me say today, every single Mingledorf contractor out there, you have an amazing opportunity to become the official Auburn University, University of Alabama, University of Georgia, University of Florida, name the freaking university, I don't care. You have the opportunity to be that official HVAC provider for that university in your hometown. And you have the opportunity to provide a dinner reservation to that single mom that has 3 kids that just simply wants to be able to go eat dinner on a Tuesday night.
That was actually one of my questions, was asking how our other fellow HVAC professionals can get involved. So if they do want to become one of those sponsors, how do they go about doing that? Who do they need to reach out to make that happen?
So obviously you could reach out to Mingledorf. You can reach out to myself. Our official website is SNASY.org. We are going to be on the official souvenir cup at Auburn University this year.
Awesome.
The entire idea is designed around interacting with the people that come to a game. And that's so what Mingledorf has done. And see, I live, my headquarters is right next door to Auburn. I've wanted to be an Auburn sponsor my entire life. But guess what? I don't sell air conditioners across the entire state of Alabama. So it's not financially feasible for me to buy a sponsorship at Auburn University because they're big. And in order for it to be worth your money, you need to be able to sell air conditioners all across the state of Alabama. Mm-hmm. Well, I can't do that. I'm not that big. Most heating and air companies are not that big. But what we're doing with Mingledorf is we're partnering with Auburn and SNASY.org, and it's going to be the job of SNASY.org to allow heating and air companies to join SNASY to serve those families. And then when people come to a game at Auburn and they interact with one of our stations, and we can come back later and do a whole nother podcast and get more detailed on that. But if you live in Mobile, you're going to have an opportunity to come to Auburn University and experience and see what we're doing to help that special needs mom, and scan a QR code and then hear about and find, oh, that's right, Keith Air Conditioning Company in Mobile is also a sponsor of SNASY. And when I go back to Mobile, I'm going to do business with Keith Air Conditioning Company. That's a real company. I met with him yesterday in Mobile. And Brent Keith is a great guy, and he's thinking about joining SNASY and becoming an official partner of ours. And so that's what it's all about, is giving companies all across the state of Alabama the opportunity to say, hey, look, it doesn't make sense for me to buy this humongous sponsorship and put my name up on the Jumbotron at Jordan-Hare Stadium. I can't sell that many air conditioners.
Yeah.
But what I can do is I can join forces with 7 other heating and air companies that are Mingledorf contractors. And for a smaller percentage, I can pay a little bit, and then I can become the official Auburn University heating and air provider of my hometown, thanks to Mingledorf. And that's what we're giving contractors with Mingledorf the opportunity to do right now.
Okay, and so for those of our listeners who maybe are not the business owner, what can they do, and how can they get involved to support SNASY?
Great question. Part of what we're looking to do is incorporate the services that we're providing, like I said, back in our hometown. And so what we're doing now is partnering with organizations. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Miracle League. It's a special needs baseball organization. And at Auburn, we had the pleasure of partnering with them. And what they do is they build out baseball parks for special needs families. And so that cause, my son plays t-ball now. He's 16, and he cannot communicate in any way. And this year, he learned how to hit a baseball off of a tee. And it was amazing to see him actually try and do that. I honestly didn't think that would ever happen. But what we're doing is we're partnering with the Miracle League Network. And this is where, again, thanks to Mingledorf, we are changing the way that we serve our community. Most organizations, most businesses, because trust me, I do this a lot in my own hometown, we raise money for organizations. More than likely, you're raising money for their overhead. Every nonprofit has overhead. They have an executive director that makes a decent living, and they need to. And so you raise money for them. But who raises money for the actual families? And that's what I'm most excited about, because I'm also partnering with Aura at Service Titan. And most in our industry are aware of Service Titan. And what we're doing is we're looking into how can we give back and contribute money directly to those families. So just walk down this path with me for just a few seconds. Every single day, every single heating and air company like myself, we dispatch our service techs. And those service techs push buttons. And every button that they push, they tell me, the company, hey, I'm leaving and I'm going out to Mrs. Stevenson's house. And they let Mrs. Stevenson know, hey, I'm heading out to your house. I'll be there in maybe 10 minutes. And then when they get there, they say, boom, I've arrived. Well, what if Mrs. Stevenson could use that Service Titan software to book a reservation at a restaurant in downtown and actually get GPS directions to that specific parking lot where they're going to meet the SNASY host, or where they're going to meet the golf cart service to take them to that restaurant? What if we could add the Service Titan software technology to those families? And if we can do that, guess what we also can do? Can you imagine that mother that once a week, once a month wants to go eat dinner with her family? And at the end of the night, and she gets her bill for $92, and she goes to pay her bill, and she realizes that she has $20 of instant credit that she gets to apply to her $92 bill. Because guess what? At Auburn University, we raised $37,000 for SNASY families. And then those family members from Mobile that contributed that money, they get to designate it back to not not the organization, not to all the families. They get to designate it back to only families back in Mobile.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And guess what? They get to designate that money to only customers that live in Mobile who also do business with, guess who? Keith Air Conditioning Company. Or these 12 restaurants who also sponsor SNASY. And so when you go to their restaurants, you get to use this money that we raised at Auburn University during the Iron Bowl. Or you get to apply for a $100 instant rebate for your annual heating maintenance bill, or for your $753 fan motor replacement, because you get $100 a year for home services. And that's where I'm looking and wanting to, again, partner with our industry. This isn't about my personal company. It's not just about Mingeldorf. It's about our entire industry coming together and serving our community and serving those that are in the greatest need in our community, which are special needs families. And I'm sure we're probably getting late on our time, and I want to end with this. Because I talk a lot, and I could talk for a lot of hours on this. And most people, when they hear me talk, it's human nature and it's perfectly understandable for them to think about, well, I'm glad I'm not him. I'm glad I don't have a 16-year-old son with a diaper. I'm glad I don't have a paralyzed 34-year-old son, paralyzed from the neck down. That's okay. That's understandable. That's reasonable for you to feel that way. And so often, most people kind of discount what I'm saying because they know that doesn't affect them directly right now. And this is the message that I want to share with all of your listeners and all of your other heating and air contractors out there. When you're thinking about, okay, well, I want to serve special needs families, but gosh, that's a really small percentage of the families. Well, I could go into plenty of data telling you about all the families that are affected by special needs, but I don't even have to do that, because I'm going to tell you this one data point. And I'm going to ask you, what is the fastest growing segment of special needs individuals in the world?
As far as like what type?
What type?
Like injuries?
Injuries, cancer, autism. You could name all of them. I'm not expecting you to answer any of that. I'll tell you the answer to that. The most common new special need, okay, the definition, you require special needs, is every single family with someone over the age of 78.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And they're living to be 88 and 92 and 97. And guess what? There's not a lot of difference between my 16-year-old wearing a diaper who can't communicate with me and your 84-year-old granddad dealing with Alzheimer's who might walk off.
Right.
And what you need to do, because you're his daughter and you're now dealing with him, and you also need to go have dinner as a family, and you need somewhere where you can take him down and you can buckle him down and say, sit here. And guess what you're then going to do? And you don't even realize this, but one day you're going to be in that awkward situation where you're going to have to use the bathroom in front of your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be there to provide a wall so you can sit him down on a cot and put him in a seatbelt, ask him to sit there, and you can walk around a corner with privacy and use the bathroom. And if we can give you that, you'll actually move to that city to live there.
Yeah.
And that's what Mingeldorf is doing right now. And that's the end game. And That's an incredible story, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking that, but that is a problem that we're having, is that people are living so much longer because of our great medical care that we have and we can provide to let people live longer, but we don't have the resources for people who,
Right.
and need someone to take care of them.
So anyway, that's SNASY in a nutshell.
Well, I want to say thank you from Mingledorf's for allowing us to be a small part of what you're doing to help these families and just make life possible. And what would look normal to us would be normal to them too, and giving them the resources to make that happen. So thank you for letting us be included in that.
Well, thank you very much. And I am very proud to be a Mingledorf contractor, and Mingledorf has went above and beyond to make this possible. And they've really kind of been a trailblazer in this, and we're looking forward to taking this to a lot of different universities and having a lot of different contractors be able to participate in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for telling us about this.
Awesome.
All right. Well, to end our episode today, I have a fun little game. So this is a new game. We haven't played this game yet, but it's called Over Under. And so basically, I'm going to ask you a question and give you like a time period or a number, and you have to say, you guys have to guess whether it's over or under what I say.
Okay.
So it's kind of a mix. There's a couple of HVAC ones, and then there's a couple just like kind of pop culture random ones, because I thought it would be fun to tie in some different stuff. All right, so first question, what is the average lifespan in years of a central air conditioning unit? Over or under 15 years?
Average? I would say under. It should be over, but I'm going to guess under.
I wanted to be over.
Okay, D gets that one because it says it's over. It's usually like 15 to 20 years is the average.
That's what it should be. Yeah, I just assumed.
According to the numbers that Google gave me.
Good to know.
Okay, the average public library holds 1,000 books. Or I'm sorry, 100,000 books. Over or under?
Under. 100,000 sounds like a lot.
100,000 books.
Golly. My other autistic son would love this question because he loves reading books in libraries. I'm going to say over.
You would be right.
Oh.
Most public libraries have over 200,000 books. So it's the average one. So, I mean, you have to think that, like, some of these bigger cities probably have massive libraries.
Millions.
Yeah, where our libraries are a little bit smaller in North Georgia where we are. Okay, what percentage of the HVAC market is dominated by the top 3 brands? Over or under 50%? And bonus points if you could give me the 3 brands that dominate the market.
Over.
I would have to go with over, and I would assume those brands are Carrier, Train, and Daikin.
You got it spot on. Spot on. So
Carrier and Train were the only ones I knew I didn't want to say.
And I even pronounced Daikin wrong. It's supposed to be Dakin, but anyway.
Okay.
Oh my
but
gosh.
we don't
Okay,
care
so
about
I
that,
didn't
so.
know that. I've always heard it called Daikin.
Well, I think they're from Japan. So
okay,
it's
that
pronounced
makes sense then.
Dakin.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay, so the longest Hollywood movie is 4 hours long. Over or under? And bonus points if you know the movie too.
They've got to be longer, so under?
What?
That's under, right?
Wait,
Or
what's
over.
got to be longer? The movie has
So
to
the
be longer?
longest one would be under 4 hours?
I
if
think
it was
the longest
under?
is over.
Is it over or under 4 hours?
It's over.
Over 4 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what movie? Can you think of
I
a
don't
movie
know.
that's that
I would have to guess under, but surely there's one movie that some wacko
Some
out there
war
made,
movie,
like,
I don't know.
6
Okay,
hours
so
long.
he's right. It is under because it's 3 hours and 58 minutes,
Oh,
and it's
that's
Gone with the Wind.
Really?
I
Like,
did not
70
know.
years ago?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I did not know that movie was that long, but I have seen at least parts of the movie.
I was thinking like Star Wars or something.
Yeah.
Star Wars would have been a really good guess, though. Okay, last question. Auburn University has won 10 SEC football championships. Over or under?
I really should know this question.
I know, I threw this one in just for
Crudge.
fun.
Well, I know how many national championships, even the ones that we don't claim.
Okay.
I'm not as familiar with the SEC. I would say it's
I want to say
it's
under.
right at I think it's, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go with over because I'm a homer, so I have to go over.
Okay, so it's under.
Okay.
It's 8 instead of 10. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but I had to
That one
assume.
was a fun one though. I was like, I wonder. I'll test his skills. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I would love to come back maybe later at the end of the football season and kind of give you some updates
Oh, yeah,
and
that'd be
some
wonderful.
examples. Because one of the things that we're looking to do is actually host special needs families and kind of document their day. And so I would love to come back and kind of show you some of those pictures and videos and,
Awesome.
and show you the actual stories and have you hear directly from them how it impacted them and their ability to enjoy
We would
it.
love to have you back for that.
Yeah, that would
Absolutely.
be awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's all for today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.